How's the walk? How about we do a high five? How many of you are there?
There's more over there.
All right, so we heard that you guys decided to bring your truck. So I heard you guys cross the street, so we came over to meet you. So we go to the police department, they enforce the laws. The city council makes the laws. And I am the chairman of the city council, Mayor Pro Tem, the co-chair, so to speak, of the city council. But so why don't we go on over to city council, city hall?
We're not.
Yeah, so we can talk and you guys can.
Then you can go.
And this is Chief Butler. He's the police and fire chief.
Morning. Morning, all of you. What have you learned so far?
And he's here to give everybody a truancy ticket, so I need everybody's. I'm just kidding. All right, let's go. There's two more coming. Actually, let's wait till these guys get here too. Slow.
How you doing, Mike?
I'm sitting here the whole time. One more excuse for me.
He wants to stay. Okay.
So do you guys want to move over here? Because I'm going to ask you some questions. Why don't you guys move over here?
You got Wi-Fi here? Yeah.
I don't know the password though. It's public.
LGMT
I guess I've got one question. Okay, it's the 19th anniversary of the Columbine shooting, right? So, congratulations on exercising your right to speak up.
And free assembly.
That's right. So my question is, there's what, 32 of you, I heard, from the police department as they followed you, counting to make sure everyone got here safely. What made you come? What, but what, right? Why are you here? What made you want to come? Okay, to protest against...
Not to protest against it.
Protest against violence and call for some type of gun control. Anyone else? That's it? Does everyone agree with that?
Yes. Have any of you personally experienced somebody you know getting shot? Can you talk about it? I mean, you don't have to. No. All right, that's okay.
And then, so what are some of your ideas? What would you like to see? What would you like to see your government do? We don't control the city, but we've got the city, and then you've got the state, you've got the nation. You guys have some ideas? The county. You guys have some ideas? You have a message you'd like to send to us?
To give more background checks on people.
More background checks on people, okay?
Yes, that's excellent.
What do you want us to be looking for?
Like, if they have a criminal record.
Okay, criminal record. I think that's a phenomenal idea. What else? You guys are here. You have our attention. You want to send a message. We're listening.
Can I have a stricter gun allowance age?
So a stricter gun allowance age. So meaning that you couldn't own a gun until a certain age? What would that age be? 21, okay.
You mean for the city of Longmont?
What other messages do you have for us? So let me, can I share something, kind of my thoughts on this? So I don't think it's very cool. If you guys, you guys ever get scared when you hear about school shootings?
Yeah.
Right? Do you ever sit there in class and imagine, God, what would I do if a school shooting happened?
Yes.
Right? I remember, I'm 45, and I was your age, it seems like just yesterday. And Mayor Pro Tem Christensen, it probably seems just like the day before yesterday, right? But I remember what it's like. I remember what it's like. And that you guys would be having those feelings is probably not very good, not right, right? And so, you guys expect adults to take care of you? Or no? Right? Yeah, it's our job,
Yeah.
right? And so, what can we do in addition to some of these ideas? What would you like to see us do to help keep you safe? Because the only way you're going to stop being scared is if you're safe, right? Stricter laws. So you know what? Let me introduce Chief Butler here for a second. Chief Butler, he is in charge of keeping us safe. And I can tell you right now that Chief Butler has talked and worked with the school district and your school resource officers to keep you safe. So Chief, why don't you go ahead and
Well, good morning, and I want to echo what Mayor Bagley said in terms of applauding all of you for exercising your constitutional rights to assemble and for free speech. And here you have the public safety chief, you have the mayor, and you have the Mayor Pro Tem. I didn't know what your intentions were if you got here, but you've done some great things already. And I can tell you the media's here. You got 2 local media sources. You got the Times Call, and you got the Longmont Observer. So they're going to be printing and taking pictures of what you're doing, and so your message is going to spread, not just to this room, but all over the community and beyond. And so that's great. You can accomplish some really great things. And so I am the police chief and I'm the fire chief, and I appreciate your ideas about stricter laws regarding our guns in our country, whether it's the age, increasing the age, whether it's banning assault rifles, or whether it's more comprehensive background checks. Those things, I don't disagree with any of that, but I also think there's other factors that go into safety. And I'll talk about those for a minute real quickly too. I just, about a month ago, I was in this room with about 100 high school students on Due Democracy Day. And they were going to come up with projects about what they could do, or what they thought the city could do to make their schools safer. The Winning Project said this. The Winning Project had 10 projects that were kind of competition that day. The Winning Project basically said that when we find somebody, because I have to tell you, when you look at all these school shootings that have happened over the years, without labeling anybody, these folks were really struggling with their mental health. Does anybody disagree with that? They were really struggling with their mental health. And so the last shooting that we had in Parkland in Florida, this person, everyone believes, is struggling with their mental health. So let me ask you all a question. Do you know anybody in your school who maybe seems a little bit maybe odd, maybe isn't friends with anybody, doesn't eat lunch with anybody, doesn't want to be around anybody, and so they're left by themselves? Do you know anybody like that? Raise your hand if you do. A lot of you do. So here's what I'm going to encourage you to do, because a lot of these folks, whether they're in our schools or in our community, feel isolated. They feel disconnected. They feel like they're alone. They don't feel appreciated. They feel like they're a problem. And we often label them as a problem to be solved. We see them through what we call their weaknesses. And so I would encourage each and every one of you that when you find somebody who's struggling like that, is to befriend them, is to go up and connect with them, maybe a group of you to do that, and say, you know what, you are valued. We do care about you. We want you to be part of us. You have gifts. that we may want benefit from, however you want to say that. I know that takes courage to do that, because at your age, you're thinking, that's not cool. This isn't the cool thing to do. That person's not a cool person. That person's kind of, everyone makes fun of them. Everyone laughs at him or her. Well, that's what we got to get away from, folks, whether it's in our schools or in our community. We need to keep a place for these folks who are struggling so that they know that they're valued. They know that they're cared for. They know that they have friends. Because that's what we all need to do with folks who are struggling with their mental health. That's what we need to do. So they know that their voice counts. Today, you know your voice counts. Not only with the people who are up here, but you're going to be in the paper and the media. You know that your thoughts matter. Mayor Bagley asked you questions because he wanted to know what your thoughts were. And we also want you to realize that your humanness, who you are as a human being, is valued. And maybe that's the most important thing that you can do with these folks who are in your schools, who may seem a little bit odd, who may be friendless, who may be by themselves, eat lunch by themselves, they come to school, they leave by themselves, and you don't know much about them. How many of you are willing to go up, maybe as a group or maybe individually, and say, I want to be your friend, or I want to somehow make a difference for you, and I want you to know that I appreciate you, and I want to know you're valued. I will tell you, you will go a long ways. If everybody did that in all of our schools across this country, we would go a long ways in making our schools safer. And I will also say, I don't disagree with the gun laws, but I also think that sense of being civil, being friendly, being caring and kind go a much further distance than just laws. And laws can be helpful, but we need more than laws. We need to be civil and friendly and caring to each other. And I can assure you, whether it's our community or any community or your school or any school, that our communities and schools will be safer if we do that. So maybe that's not what you thought you would hear from the police chief this morning. And I'm so happy that so many of you raised your hand and said you're willing to do that. So maybe by tomorrow, not tomorrow, maybe by next week, you can do that. You can maybe strategize in this room about, hey, let's go up to that. Let's go up to those folks. Let's let them know that we care about them. Let's let them know that this is their school and we want them to feel appreciated. That'd be huge on your part. And you're going to make your school safer at the same time.
Would you guys would that be uncomfortable, do you think, sometimes doing that?
Of course it would be.
Right? It would be. But you know what? It doesn't matter. So, like, he's the police chief, right? He's responsible, the one person responsible for protecting our community. Mayor Pro Tem here, she is responsible for representing the community. I, as the mayor, I'm responsible for representing, protecting the community, right? So when we hear that there's a group of 32 kids, right? We didn't know if you were angry. We didn't know if you were upset, right? We had two choices. We had something else scheduled today. We could either jump on the bus and just say, let's hide, or we could come meet you. We decided to come meet you. Guess what? Just because we're adults doesn't mean we always know what we're doing, right? It doesn't mean that we're comfortable, but it means if you're going to be a leader, right? And really what we're talking about here is being a leader. If you want to be a leader, even if it's uncomfortable, you find the people that are hurting, that are worried, that are scared, and even if you don't know what you're doing, you reach out and you say, hey, I'm here for you, it's going to be okay, and let's try to figure out a solution together. And the only difference between the group leader at school, or the bully, or the person sitting by himself or herself, or you know what the difference is? It's the person who just makes the decision, you know what, I am going to reach out, and I'm going to do what the chief says. If I see somebody sitting alone, even if you're the person sitting alone, right? Even if you're the person who's scared and wondering, why is everyone picking on me? You can look for other people and you can say, you know what? I am going to look out for them. I am going to be their friend. I am going to lead. And guess what? You'll pretty soon find yourself being the police chief, the mayor pro tem, or the mayor. Even if inside you're a little scared and uncomfortable. It's the only difference. So can you guys do that? Can you do what the police chief said?
And what Mayor Pro Tem Christensen and what Mayor Bagley said too, we're all in agreement that this is how we make our communities better and our schools better.
So, let me have my little piece here. Thank you for coming. And what Mayor Bagley said is true. It seems like just over here that I was the kid who cried every single night. I was going to sleep. I don't know, but I did. I was the kid who sat by myself. Pretty soon pretty soon there were a bunch of kids who were sitting by themselves, and there was no room, so we wound up sitting together, and we found out we really liked each other, so we were the kids who were the smart kids, the geeks, and so we sat and we talked about all our geeky things, and then we weren't alone. But, so that is one aspect of it. Junior high, I promise you, everything's better since after junior high. It's a really hard time. There was nobody in our school who would have done what you guys did. Get up and walk out of school? We would never have done that. And yet, 5 years later in high school and in college, we were the people walking around and fighting for civil rights, fighting for women's rights, fighting for everybody to be included. So what you're doing is really important because, trust me, you are the ones standing for the right stuff. I'm getting letters even now because I suggested that we have a community forum to discuss gun rules, to discuss gun issues. I'm getting letters from gun advocates and gun rights people. The NRA is spending millions of dollars to fight this stuff, and they have. That's why nothing has happened since then. Very little has happened. Our president got shot, and his
In the past, no, President Trump, we're not talking,
yet.
no.
President Reagan.
Yeah, President Reagan.
President Reagan.
Way
I'm
before
sorry.
your time.
Way before your time. I forget how old I am, but nothing happened. Nothing happened. The Brady bill, when it came, it went. We used to have an assault weapons ban, and it cut down the number of mass shootings, and then it was allowed to lapse, and it hasn't been restored. And now the amount of mass shootings has risen. There are all kinds of things we can do that are concrete. What we can do is, we do need comprehensive background checks. We can check on whether people have had domestic disputes, whether they've had maybe mental health problems, although most people who had mental health problems are themselves the victims of abuse more than people who hurt other people. So it is important. If you see somebody who's, they're lost, you can see somebody's lost, so just talk to them. But we have a county arena that has a gun show many times a year. People can buy guns without any kind of background check. We need to change that. We have the police can you can turn in your weapons to the police. Some of them they use for various police activities. However, if people turn in a large amount of weapons, it's my understanding that those are turned over to gun dealers. Well, they need to be destroyed, not sent back out there in the world. This country has enough guns for every man, woman, and baby to have 8 guns. So somebody's got the 32 guns that my son and I own. Or 16 guns that my son and I own. We have too many guns. There are all kinds of things we can change. We need to change them sensibly and intelligently. So comprehensive background checks are really important. Being sure that we need to have a national database. People are very riled up about that. They're paranoid that somehow the government's going to come take their guns. That's never happened in this country, and it's not going to happen. And yet that's the kind of propaganda that certain groups send out to say, we don't need to have a national database. We do, so that the police can protect us and know who has what. we can, get the county, we can't do anything because that's county land. But we can get the county commissioners to change the rules there, so that people who sell guns there have to actually do a background check. We can craft something that bans, we're never gonna get everybody getting, murder, theft, lots of things. But we have to try. So, I think what is the most upsetting is these mass shootings. And it's not just schools, but the schools are the most appalling thing. The more, I went over to Altoona Middle School because those guys were doing a study on the Constitution. So everybody did a presentation on various aspects of the Constitution and amendments. And the last group that I talked to was 3 young men your age about the Second Amendment and about gun rights. And I was really very moved by what they talked about because it made me realize what you guys have to face, which is not something I had to face when I was your age at all. But what I did have to face every single day and night was the idea of a nuclear destruction of the entire planet, which is also still a
Let's
possibility.
just put more worries in their head, Molly.
But every night, we had a drill every week or so on preparing for the end of the world. This shaped my generation's view of it, just as this kind of thing is shaping your generation's view of it. And it's not, neither of those things are things that you should have to deal with, or that I should. We can change them, but it takes people like you, and it takes people from all ages saying, 80% of the people in the country believe there should be strict gun laws. Why aren't there any? Because money talks. That's the way it works. But if we reach out to each other in personal cases and try to be kind to the people who are struggling, that's one thing. We make some laws on a citywide basis. We make some laws on a countywide basis, statewide basis, national basis. Those are things we can do. We check around and see who seems to be, anyway, I don't know what else we can do, but we haven't done, city council has not done any, 1,000 people showed up. We haven't done. The morning that I went to that presentation at Altoona Middle School, and I was so touched by these 3 young men, I went out and got in my car, and I turned on the radio and talked, and it was the Parkland shooting that just took place. It's been 19 years since Parkland. It's been 40 years since Reagan, the president of the United States at that time, was shot. Except the things we put in place, we've now let lapse. We have to have people like you and people like us do something, despite the money that talks against it. So what you are doing is really, really important. It's saying, and you shouldn't have to. You shouldn't have to. And it's our responsibility to at least start by having some sensible rules against semi-automatic guns, because that's how you cut down on at least the mass shootings. That's one thing you can do. When the Second Amendment was written, people forget the first part of that sentence, having to do with militia. We didn't have a standing army when the Constitution was written. So this was so that everybody could rile up and get their musket out. It took 20 seconds to load up a musket and shoot it. That's not gonna, you're not gonna create a mass shooting. Things have changed, and we need to change it. And,
So the adults, right? So the adults, we've got a big problem, right? And it's a complicated problem. There's a lot of potential solutions that we're all going to argue about. In the meantime, what are you guys going to do?
Help.
Help, by how? Reaching out, loving one another. If you see somebody who's alone, make sure you include them. And the other thing, one more thing that came to mind, if you see a problem, tell somebody. Sound good?
Yeah.
Here's one more thing though. Realize that America has a complicated relationship with guns. My father taught me how to shoot at 22 when I was 4 years old. My father thought that was a good idea. People who live out in rural districts don't go to Safeway to buy meat. They shoot what's flying overhead or jumping through the walls. They need guns. They also need guns to protect their animals. So when we feel living in an urban environment isn't what everybody else is, when you just talk about guns as if guns are only one thing. There are many different kinds of guns, from handguns to submachine guns, all kinds of things. So we need to be clear about what kind of regulation it is. When we talk about banning all guns, it just gets people riled up because they, for many different uses. If you run a small business, it's probably a good idea to have guns. And I can tell you that if you run a retail business where you're selling stuff, you're open late at night, and you're there all alone, you might need a gun. So just talking about guns as if all guns need to be banned. It's never going to happen in this country. It just happened.
I want to build on one thing that Mayor Bagley said too, and that is if you see something that's really, you need to report. You're all familiar with Safe to Tell, right? Familiar with that? And you know who your school resource officer here is, Chris Borchwick, in terms of he's available for you, and so just know that those resources exist. Safe to Tell and one of our school resource officers. If you see something, let us know. Go into that Safe to Tell system.
And that's our city manager, Harold Dominguez, up there. So my question is, before we wrap up, how are these guys getting back to school? You walking with them?
Yeah.
Okay. You walk here, you walk back. March in, march out, I guess is the policy. Okay? Thank you for coming. All right? The what? The what?
Police department.
You want to go see the police department?
Yeah.
Okay.
You want to walk them over to the police department and then head back to school?
We can take them to